Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have here an article from a Ukrainian source and they give a certain kind of interpretation to Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, which they're entitled to because we interpret things according to many variables, and that is our preferences, our agendas, our script, our mental ability, our information, knowledge that we have, the mood. You know, if you're hungry, you think in a certain way. If your stomach is full, you're going to think differently. Anyway, remember what I think Gautama Siddhartha, the first Buddha, said: full stomach, empty mind, or at least it's a Buddhist saying. Probably it's used by others as well, but it doesn't matter. What is being said is important, not really who said it. Anyway, I rather know the philosophical idea than the name only. Hey, Buddha said, or you want to know what he said. I don't, you know what I mean, which one. You should know both of them. It's great, better than one or another. So let's see what's going on here with this article coming from Ukraine. And this comes from Ukrainska Pravda. It is from today, February 2nd, 2023. And I'm going to show you Lavrov, the best picture. Lavrov afraid of Western long-range weapons hitting Russia. He says it is necessary to push back, and quote, Ukrainian army. All right, so what is, I listened to some of his statements. He had a little interview. And anyway, let's see what this guy is saying here, and according to what we should understand out of this. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said it is necessary to, I'm quoting, push Ukrainian troops away so the long-range weapons supplied by the West do not reach the Russian territory. Well, I think it's very logical, I think it's very clear, and it makes sense. It seems like for these guys, this doesn't make sense. They look at this one from a different perspective, which they are entitled, as I said at the beginning of this video. Now, source, Lavrov's interview with Russian propaganda media. Okay. Now, this is the quote. If we want to move the artillery of the Ukrainian armed forces to such a distance that it will not pose a threat to our territories now, then the more long-range weapons are supplied to the Kiev regime, and the further away we need to push them back from the territories that are our country. All right, end quote. Now you can disagree with many things here, like for instance, he considered the territories that were, incorporated into Russia by referenda. He calls them our country. You can say, well, that's not, all kind of things you can disagree. But the fact is, get the idea what he's saying. Now, at the same time, the head of the Russian Foreign Ministry complained that no one, and I'm quoting, pulled President Volodymyr Zelensky when he stated that he did not understand who made decisions in Russia and who he should talk to. Lavrov concluded that the president of Ukraine looked like a, and I'm quoting, non-independent figure, like someone who is, and I'm quoting, manipulated. All right, that's your opinion, and good, we can agree or disagree with that. In addition, the Russian foreign minister has denied the statement that Russia refused to negotiate. And Lavrov has also said that the entire NATO bloc is fighting against Russia today. And I'm quoting, yes, we see how the whole of NATO is fighting against us. And then some talks and incantations that we are not fighting but only arming are ridiculous, he said. Now, background this, not important, but this is what's going on. Well, I'm going to give you this. This is important, actually. On the 28th of January, Zelensky, I'm aware of this, but I don't know if you guys are aware of it, so I'm going to read it. On January 28th, Zelensky once again called on partners to provide Ukraine with long-range missiles to protect the country against Russian attacks. According to him, Ukraine needs long-range missiles to remove this possibility of the occupiers putting his rocket launcher somewhere far from the front line and destroying Ukrainian cities with it. And then we find out that a new package of the U.S. military assistance to Ukraine, which for the first time will contain projectiles of specific kind, can be announced as blah, blah, blah. Those projectiles are going to be fitted in HIMARS, according to this guy's information, HIMARS defense missile systems that were capable of reaching 150 kilometers. From there, right now they reach 80 kilometers, I think, and those ones will be 150. So let's say double, all right, double distance. Now, what is Lavrov saying? Because if you remember the title, which doesn't make sense, because he says Lavrov afraid of Western long-range weapons hitting Russia. Well, of course he's afraid. He doesn't like that. He says it's necessary to push back Ukrainian army. Okay, what does that mean? All right, let me give you here a little, how should I make it? All right, this right here, right? This is where my glasses are, not very colorful. All right, boom, this right here. Here, Russia or Russian territory. Here, Ukrainian territory, okay? And here is Russia. And here are towns. These are people living here. This is Ukraine. That's a war. Bam, 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 bam. Now, what the Russians said before is this. If Ukrainian defense systems come here and they're capable, they have a radius, they have a range up to here. You see this right here? Let's make it like this. This is the range. Actually, this is the range. But they go over in our country this much. We will push these defense systems so far back that the range will be here. Oops, they will be here at the border. So the range, that 80 kilometers, this buffer zone is going to turn into 150 kilometers if they're provided this. So they cannot hit the border in Russia. This is what afraid Lavrov, scaredy cat Lavrov is saying. Right now is 80 miles, all right? 80 miles. So they're like this. So the Russians have to put them 80 kilometers back. Now if they get double, then they have to be pushed double back. And this is going to be a buffer zone. I don't know how that's going to be protected or not protected. So this is what this guy is saying. And the guy says, well, he's afraid. Of course he's afraid. He doesn't want his people in his calculation to be destroyed in his mind, by the enemy. As the enemy doesn't want the Russians to do the same thing, right? They want to be able to hit inside Russia the Russian missiles. But the Russians have longer missiles, so they have it here. That means what? The Americans have to provide longer range to be able to hit them over there. So then the Russians have to push them even further back if they can. So that's the whole thing. What is so hard to understand for these weasels here? Yes. And besides, the more the longer the radius, the range, the longer, the bigger, the more people will be caught in between the crossfire. Because the Russians will want this to be, if you shoot, I don't care who's over here, but the front is going to be here and our border is going to be here. So that means they're going to have to push further. So if you give them 1,000, let's say, kilometers range missiles, that means they will have to move in Poland. 1,000, all right? I'm just saying. So I'm not saying they should not receive it, but this is what the Russians are saying. You do that, we do this, if we can. This is the consistency of the Russians. Good consistency or bad consistency. I'm made this reference many times, or this example. If they tell you they're going to punch you in the face one time, if you do that, they will do that. If they tell you they're going to give you $1 for that, they will give you $1. As I said, good or bad. In this case, this is what's going on. He's afraid. I don't know, in his mind, he saves lives, Russian lives, and push these guys away. So providing Ukraine with longer range missiles, you can argue, some can argue, I'm not arguing, that, there's going to be able to blow more Russians up. And then you say, well, it's a war. It's a war. Yes, it's a war. I understand that. And unfortunately, this war could have been avoided. But hey, it's not only, this unprovoked attack of the Russians of Ukraine. It's much more. And it's much more. Anyway, And if you don't know, you can watch a lot of my videos and read between my lips. and find certain information. And I'm pretty sure that you have other sources of information that, and you know, it's not just angels versus angel of death over here, or good versus evil. They want to turn it into toddler-like mentality, which a lot of people have, but no, they will not succeed with you and I. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.